Na 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 na. Batman! Yeah! And welcome to another episode of Weekly Comic Reviews. I'm your host, Ian Yoxon, also known as Rockyweird, your Canadian Comic Geek. And if you're wondering why I started singing the Batman tune, it's very simple, because we got new comics you can easily walk into, starting off the bat with Batman Incorporated Special, Issue 1. Now, as you can see from the cover, kind of reminds you of Super Friends, doesn't it? Long story short, is that, it's just a bunch of, a couple of one-shot stories. Yeah, more than one, weird. Where basically we have with every character who's part of Batman Incorporated. We got, Raven Red, Man of Bats, Night Runner, El Gaucho, Knight, and Batman Japan. You know, that guy who was in Batman Incorporated issue 11 that interrupted the Batman Incorporated story, if you haven't been reading. Anyway, just to verify, I like these stories. Well, they're really good. It's like trying to tell the audience, we got more Batman Incorporated stories coming soon. Which is weird because, well, Batman Incorporated just ended. I do hope they do bring these characters back. I really do. It would be nice to see Batman Japan or a Night story. Other than that, if you don't know who these characters are, no worries. You can easily just read these. Strongest story on here, the Night story. Weakest of them all, and one I find is the most awesome, the Bat Cow story. That's right, there's a cow called Bat Cow. Boo. Weirdest story I would never show to children. The Batman Japan. Reason why I wouldn't show the Batman Japan story. No matter how many people say it was because it was an inconvenience that it interrupted the Batman story. Batman Japan is a fun read nonetheless, though. Weirdly enough, it starts off like your typical manga. The kids look like manga characters and everything. It seems like your typical tokusatsu show. Unfortunately, I wouldn't show this to kids because, one, there are body parts, like a severed hand. Darth Vader, the Fiend! Story short, it's basically there's a guy who's basically harvesting people's organs to sell on the black market. What kind of black market? A vending machine. You know, in an area where kids mostly hang out. Good move, bad guys, good move. That wouldn't be such a problem, but it's just the villain here creeps me out a little. I wouldn't show this to children. It's still a fun read, but the villain the appearance of the villain has that level of creepiness. He's called, I am Dr. Inside Out. I'm like, oh God, cover yourself, man. I can see all your organs in your chest. No, but it's still a fun read. For Batman fans, pick it up. If you're under the age of, say 16, or you're a kid who likes things that are gross. If you're a kid who likes things gross or over the age of 16, pick it up. Fun read. Anyone who's under that age, I wouldn't recommend this showing to children if you're afraid of scarring anyone. Other than that, this is a fun read if you are interested, so I suggest pick it up. Even though there's any more Batman Incorporated coming for a long while, or ever. Alright, you comic book nerds and geeks and fans out there, we got the newest issue of Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel, issue 15, which is also part of the event comic Infinity. Now, I kind of like this. I like this because it picks up where the last issue of Captain Marvel left out, where basically she saved a city from one of her foes, Jan Rog. If I pronounce his name right. And basically, she saved New York and everything by using her powers. But the kicker was in the previous story is that because of medical conditions, if she used her flight powers, it would seriously damage her brain. Not like using powers or kill or anything, but mostly her memory. Like everything that made Carol Danvers, Carol Danvers. And this issue pretty much like shows like what she's doing after like what she's doing after that event. So basically she's like she's helping out the Avengers, thank God, but she doesn't have any idea reason to care. And there's some good story elements to that. Unfortunately, it wasn't as great as the previous 14 issues, which are amazing, by the way. This is like a perfect superhero book. So if you find any other 14 issues, issue 15 is a fun read, and also for Carol Danvers fans, she regains like old powers. If you're old fans of her, if you know what I mean. Yeah. I guess from the cover it's kind of obvious. So yeah, if you want to see Carol Danvers not like helping save the day while not thinking like Carol Danvers, like an entirely new character in a sense, pick that up. It's actually quite fun. Next up, you Deadpool fans, you Deadpool issue 15. There's a lot of 15s out there. I just realized. If you haven't been paying attention to the series, Deadpool realizes that that people are basically like knocking him out and stealing his organs. He has healing factors, so he can grow new ones. But that's kind of scary, isn't it? Like if some random person knocks you out, and while you're unconscious, they harvest like a liver or a kidney from you. It's very frightening. But here, like he tries to get the bottom of it because in the previous issue, he actually struck back. And now apparently, like, the mastermind behind these shenanigans is a guy named Butler. Yes, the Butler did it. He goes to Wolverine, he goes to Captain America. And, like, he pretty much established, basically, he also establishes Butler's reasons why he's doing this. And I'm just going to spoil this a little bit. I love his reasons why Deadpool is so important. Because, for those who don't know Deadpool is basically a guy who went to Weapon X to basically find a cure for his cancer. So they basically experimented on him with Wolverine's DNA. He's basically cured, pretty much, except the basically the condition is now instead he now has a healing factor. He can heal just as fast as Wolverine. Like if you sever his hand, he can put it back and it'll heal over and he's fine. It's just basically his entire skin is now deformed and burnt. Like he looks. Like best description, like Freddy Krueger, if you want to get down to it. And I love how, like, in there, Butler's like, wait a minute. You found a cure for cancer, and you let him go. You flushed him down the drain. What is wrong with you? No, and just, which is basically, that's another reasons why he's doing this. It's a little creepy, like, when he talks to one person, like, in a Mr. Freeze kind of way. But this is kind of fun because this is part one of the 5-part story arc: the good, the bad, and the ugly. And for the first issue, it's not. In the words of Kent Brockman, things are gonna get worse before it gets better. So if you're a Deadpool fan and you like this sort of dark dark story with a lot of humor, pick this up. It's really a fun read. Alright, normally I don't really do these kind of issues, but this is really fun. If you get into it, you could read the previously on this series kind of thing, and you would have no problems with it. I find it as a fun read because I'm a fan, and I think some of you might find this if you haven't read this yet. The FF issue 11. As you're probably thinking, FF does stand for Fantastic Four. If you haven't been paying attention in comics recently, the FF also stands for Future Foundation, which Reed Richards started as a school for mostly gifted students. No, not like the X-Men. More, it's actually like these kids who are really smart or who want to change the world. So we got Alex Power, we got a few Morlocks, we got Moloids, we even got these fish kids. I forget their names. Sorry about that. Also, if you haven't been paying attention, the Fantastic Four, along with their kids Franklin and um, Valeria, they went they went across time and space, Doctor Who style. No, they didn't travel in a TARDIS. They just went on a giant ship across space and time. Still good stories though. Meanwhile, while they're having their space-time adventure vacation, also trying to figure out what's happening to their bodies, they actually found replacements for themselves, which they are called the FF. And basically, they're supposed to only last for 4 minutes, because time and space. Although something went horribly wrong, and they're basically sticking around as new Fantastic Four much longer. For teammates, we have Medusa, She-Hulk, Ant-Man, and Darla Deering. Now, Darla Deering is a new character, but she was picked by Johnny Storm, because Johnny Storm was lazy and forgot to pick a replacement. Other than that, she's one of my favorite characters. Also for the fact, like she's like basically, like she's the new kid in the group, who has no special powers except she's like a famous singer. So basically, they found a thing suit for her, and it's not that bad. I enjoy it. For issue 11, for this one they have a time machine they got from Julius Caesar, because from the Fantastic Four series. You know, it sounds weird, but it makes total sense for comics. And they use a time machine to try to find and save the Fantastic Four, see what's wrong. Unfortunately, that doesn't quite necessarily happen. Instead of going back in time, they get yanked by the Impossible Man. Yeah, the green annoying guy who's basically like Batmite or Mr. Mithpetlik. And the reason why he takes them is basically to when they introduce the newest student for the Future Foundation, the Impossible Man's son, Adolf, the Impossible Kid. I'm sorry for spoiling that. I'm just trying to make you see why you should read the comic. It's really fun because basically instead of New York, everything's is Impossible Man. And I like this. And plus it continues the story for the FF and the Fantastic Four. Like details if you're reading both, because they're both really good series. You can pick this up as a single because basically each and every issue you can easily just jump into and it's a fun read. Also for the fact I do like the fact that Adolf, it works. Reason why Impossible Man is sending his kid, he's too possible. He just wants to sit around and read books, and he's like the very nervous kid who's afraid who's afraid of everything mentally. And I do like the fact if he thinks you're messing with him, he will mess you back. And I like this. It's really fun. Introduces a new character. Plus, if you have been reading FF, it continues the story that shows Ahura, Medusa's son. I don't think I'm pronouncing his name right, so I apologize. Ahura's uncle, Maximus the Mad from the Inhumans, is basically they stash him in a closet. So basically, he sneaks around, he's eating food, and basically we get to see what Maximus is doing in the story. Because so far in the story, it's a fun read. Pick this up along with any other FF issue you can find. You will not be disappointed. I'm doing this again like I did with the FF. Because, honestly, this series... It's you know how Marvel fans really like Deadpool because he's funny, even though it's dark, and he's not really a hero or a villain because he's a mercenary? DC has this kind of character, too. And just picking up this issue, it makes you want to read the previous issues because the story is so funny. It makes you want to continue where the story goes. And the one DC character I think is this funny character because he's not a hero, Larfleeze. In Larfleeze issue 3. As you can see in the issue, we introduce a new character, the Wanderer. Kind of like the Silver Surfer, going through space, traveling across space, even though she's from another dimension. Besides that, her mind wanders, so she can be very forgetful. Never good for who she's working for. No, but, I do like the fact that it also explain, like, who the Wanderer is, and also the fact who her siblings, her family is. Like, for example, in the previous issues, they introduced a character called Lord, with an A in there, so it's hard to pronounce. Lord of the Hunt. And basically, it does pick up from that story, but I do like this because, one, it's funny because you see Larfleeze's butler, Stargrave, and Stargrave doesn't like Larfleeze. Though I feel sorry for Stargrave because he's the butler who gets passed around, and he likes to work as a manservant, but he doesn't like working for Larfleeze. And Wanderer's like, I purchased you before, like right before Larfleeze took you away from me, right before I picked you up. So I want you to work for me. Would you like that? And basically, I do like and basically, I'm gonna spoil this little joke. Is like he agrees, but the terms is he has to be neutered or turned into a female alien. And I'm like, yes, I'd like to work. Wait, what? And like, I like the fact that he freaks out. Like, she has a device that can neuter him or turn him into a female. It's just basically, it looks like an energy version of a bear trap, and that's frightening. And I love the fact, for kids who know what who find this kind of crude humor funny, they call it the third leg. Also, Larfleeze is still being Larfleeze. And basically, it does kind of leave off where in 2 months, we'll get in October because of the whole villain month thing. It leads up to the newest story arc, which is basically Rise of the Living Orange Lanterns. And the way all the characters play off each other, I like this. This is a fun read. If you're ever not a Green Lantern fan, this is fun to read. I can't express that hard enough. Maybe because I'm biased, but like again, if you see to find this or the previous other 2 issues, pick them up. They are fun to read, and these are great issues to own. The last issue for this episode, and some of you might hate me for this or just don't really care for this issue. Because I have talked to a few people that think, oh, he's not a real superhero. The comics, Superman issue 23, Psy-War Part 1. Now, chances are you have not been picking up on Superman like I have. Chances are. There's been a few issues after Hell on Earth. Yeah, ignore the Hell on Earth for now. But basically for the past few issues, it's been somewhat building up to this kind of thing, where they introduce Hive and its leader, the Hive Queen. Almost thought it was called Queen Bee. Basically, it's like Queen Bee, right? She's like Queen Bee, only she's blonde and doesn't rule a country, just rules an organization that basically wants to serve the world to Brainiac on a silver platter. I should probably mention that in the previous episode, they introduced Hive, they introduced Hector Hammond, who's still a giant head, and looks much better than the Green Lantern movie ever did. Anyway, like, the story is basically Hive's been building this up, and basically now they're, like, in this issue, you can easily pick this up, you wouldn't feel lost. Basically, Hive decides to take over Metropolis. Mostly for the fact that in an annual, and I'll just spoil this for you in case you can't find it, is that Brainiac is returning, because when Brainiac first got introduced in Action Comics, he shrank a part of Metropolis, and when that happened, 20 people got affected for ways for Brainiac to come back in in what we remembered, instead of a giant alien brain slug into a normal-sized green bald man. Yeah. So far, Hive Queen is trying to mind control Metropolis, basically trying to prepare Earth for Brainiac's arrival. Superman, you will fall for my hypnotic jelly. All the sticky stuff, it's all made up losing my mind. Yeah, if you look through the pages, Superman looks like he's being covered in honey. A deadly bee weapon. Sorry, I had to play that. It's hilarious. Also, like, and by Cywar, it's the Hive Queen and Hector Hammond who portrays him because he just wants to, like, he wants to rule the world with mind control, but doesn't want to give it the Brainiac. So basically, it's an all-out war where half the people are basically have glowing yellow eyes, that's who are under control of Hive Queen, while while people under Hector Hammond's control get giant heads. Now that I am under Hector's control, I will stop Hive. Yeah, that's kind of going on. It's a two-parter. Well, the second part's in Action Comics issue 24. It's actually an okay read. Like, sure, you might be interested to see what the heck's going on, but like, it's typical Superman stuff where he's having a hard time with mind control. And unlike Marvel, there's a very few people who can read and control minds. So having a character trying to deal with this sounds like a really cool idea. Although this is Superman, so this might be a little boring for a few fans who aren't as excited like reading a Batman comic, or Wonder Woman, or the X-Men, or Spider-Man, or whatever. Although, like, I think it's an okay read. It's not great, it's not bad, it's okay. Although, my only disappointment, like, I love the costume they introduced a new character, love the costume, hate the mask, and now you'll know who once I mention his name. Psycho Pirate. Now, for Psycho Pirate, he wears this golden mask called the Medusa mask that basically you can control people's emotions, or basically, like, mind control people or control their emotions and whatever, while wearing a black and yellow suit, which kind of reminds me of somewhat of a clown. That actually works. I do like his new costume. It's like he's wearing like a black shirt, black army pants. He has like the red coat, which has the same color scheme as his old Psycho Pirate costume. But I don't like the Medusa mask. Weird, right? Because here's the weird thing. It looks more like what you know when you hear Medusa mask. It's not just a plain golden face mask you just put on and it just makes like emotion faces when you want people to feel happy, sad, or angry. Here's basically it's a mask that covers the upper part of his face with like these energy snakes coming out of it. Like, I wish they made the Psycho Pirate origin story a little bit, like, worked on that a little bit more. But it's kind of cool that he comes in and basically, you thought the Hive Queen and Hector were bad. This guy's much worse, and he already knows who Superman is with his mind powers. And again, this all relates back to Brainiac. No, this is like, it's an okay read. If you could, like, this is actually fun for a car ride, for a car ride home or a bus ride home, for those of you who don't ride cars. Still, fun read. Thank you all for watching. I am the Canadian Comic Geek. I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye!